Okay, welcome everyone to the Hellenicherald book club. So this video is going up. It's going to be us actually live discussing the book. And this book that we're currently on is Greek Religion by Walter Burkert. Not sure I'm going to say that right, but it's really great because we have at least a few people I know reading it. I think right now, well, we're going to get on a voice chat actually. And so anyone who's going to be joining is going to be live every week in our server. And if you would like to join our server so you can participate in the discussion, I'm going to go ahead and type our Discord link right there. It should pop up in a second. Ooh. There seems to have been an error, so I'm going to go ahead and do it on this side. So there we go. That's the Discord link if you want to join us IRL. So I'm going to go ahead and pop into the voice chat now. Hello, Greek Mike. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the sound now so you're going to be, okay, cool. Alright, I'm just going to check the volume level here. Can you say hello?
Hello.
Awesome. So we're good. If you want to just kind of start going over it. So did you read, so we're reading pages 20 through 27, and I basically skipped over the intro and stuff, but I just wanted to see if you read it, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I did read it.
Okay.
As I was telling you earlier, I think I have a different PDF, so I read to page 31 on mine, which I think was a little bit extra as well. So I did read it.
Oh, okay, cool. That's why you had a different PDF. Oh, I should put the link in, I guess. I'll put the link for the folder in where we have both notes that you can also get to as well. Mike, let me just see here. Did you see the link? It's in the book club channel. I posted the link to the place where we can do notes. After we talk and write our notes, by the way, I'm going to set the notes to comment only, just so like someone can't come in and erase it all, you know? Does that make sense? I'm also just going to copy here. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to copy the link. I don't know why I had such a hard time finding that. Ooh, so people can also look at the PDF. Cool. So I had some notes, and where's my page 20? So, oh, awesome. You're putting notes in. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go straight to page 20 here. So this is dense. It's like a little heavy. I was glad I only did like 7 pages because I was like, I don't know how many people are going to enjoy going through that kind of heavy text. Oh, there's also open comment history. Oh, I see. Are you is this set to commenting only for you?
Was it? Yeah, it's like the commenting only.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me fix it to editor. There we go. So copy link. Here, I'm gonna put the new link in the VC chat. So then you should be able to actually edit it.
I'm an editor now.
Awesome. What color do you want to be?
I'm up for anything. Whatever you pick first.
I'm gonna pick the dark blue because the other colors are really brightly colored and aggressive. Um, yeah. So when I was reading over this, like on page 20, I noted I was like, oh, the early Bronze Age stretches back to like really far, and I just wanted to keep that comment in there because of kind of I don't remember the ages well, so I'm like, oh, okay, this is the context that we're in as far as like timeline. Um, the pottery shards thing was really interesting to me. Was there anything before in regards to pottery that stood out to you?
It was interesting that like there were periods where there just weren't any pottery as well, and so they were like identifiable almost by the lack thereof of pottery in certain eras.
Yeah, that was really interesting. That it I kind of want to say that it took that long. Um, and I know obviously there was a point that the length of history that humans were around is very small. So I know there was a lot of history before that, but even within the history that like humans were around, there's a good chunk of it where that didn't exist, and I was kind of like, that took that took too long. Come on, primitive man, we expected better. um, but I put in the notes I don't want to read aloud. I read them out loud just because they're not on the stream, so
Yeah.
That the pottery shards can be identified and classified most accurately, and so for the period following. Oh, I just realized I can probably go to the page. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the. There we go. Pottery shards can be identified and classified most accurately, and so for the period following the discovery of ceramics, it has been this which has determined the demacration. Oh, I can't read that. And chronology of the following of the individual cultures, and then there's an increasing wariness of over hasty interpretation. Dot dot dot. The critical demand for positive proof of religious meaning in each and every case is in danger of ignoring precisely what is the most important. Many of the elements of religion, such as processions and dances, garlands, mass, sacraments, and rituals, may leave behind not the slightest remaining trace. Occasionally, early pictorial art may help, but this brings its own problems of interpretation. And so what I was thinking about that was that, oh, hi, Sir Piglin, welcome. Oh, maybe they're texting. Awesome. What I thought was interesting about that was that pottery and the depictions of the myths and stories and Greek life that we know, that's okay, no worries. So this channel is going to be on stream, so if you decide to turn on your mic, that's just so you know, which you don't have to, because we're obviously here discussing in the VC chat. What I thought that was interesting about that was we often forget that as we try to bring historical data into our practice, very similar to the pottery, is that there's just some part of history that we just don't have a trace of. We don't have any information, and especially I think since so many of the depictions that we see are from ancient pottery and clay drawings within those, and there's so much of it that we just don't know anything about. So I thought that was really interesting. Because yeah, thoughts.
I'm
Ooh.
totally in agreement with you on this one. I think it was really interesting how like there's so much that like is lost that we just won't recover, but like we could still figure out clues though from like different other aspects. So like one aspect of it could be just what's left behind. It could be the imagery.
Yeah.
But I think it's also important that like the rituals and stuff like that we can't recover at all.
Exactly.
And, like,
Yes.
we can kind of guess at what they would have been like based on how they evolved, but we really have no idea. Anything we guess is, and I think that's really important when you're thinking about reconstructing something. So it goes back to like when you actually look at the religion, like how you actually reconstruct it is that like anything you're reconstructing, we don't really know what it was like. We're doing the guesswork here, and so you have some creative liberty in your own right to use your own UPG and go with it.
Yeah. Sir Piglin?
I just got here.
No worries. Sorry. So we're on page. If you're using the download that I put in the chat, it's page 20 to 21.
Okay. Alright, thank you.
No worries. And did you in the VC text chat? I put the link to the Google Doc that we're taking notes on.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, Greek Mike, exactly. And the rituals are also put together through imagery, like we're talking, like on this pottery is one of like the first things, and yet like it was a while before we got even that. And if we think about like some of the stuff, like in my head I'm thinking some of the stuff that's we find or that people use to reconstruct the history is like the stuff that was left in clay jars as well, and so that in itself has another way to record things like what was used in the rituals, etc. So oh, I just got a ping for our own our own stream. Sir Peglin, and is that the name they want me to use? Did you have any thoughts? I know you're just catching up, so it's no stress if you didn't.
I just opened the PDF. I'm finding the page real quick.
No worries.
I do not have thoughts.
Okay. No worries. We'll take a second and hold up for you.
Alright, thank you.
Of course. Which is now a good time for tea. I'm drinking some Twinings Earl Grey, if anyone cares. What?
So very nice.
Yes. I kind of want to bring like what we're drinking into the like a thing that was discussed in like every stream, because every time I always have a different tea and I always end up chatting with the person about it before we get on stream. So and I'm like, anyway, Sir Piglin, are you also in the you are in the document. Fantastic. That is you, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Because if you open up multiple tabs, it shows it twice. That's why. So we were just talking about this. I'll actually do it like this. The item 2. No, that makes it indented. I don't want it indented, but I think that'll be easier for finding. So then let's see. I'll just copy a phrase here so I can jump to the next section. Oh, Greek belongs to the group. What? Oh, so the next thing is this part that says Greek belongs to the group of Indo-European languages, and the scholarly reconstruction of Proto-Indo-European postulates the existence of an Indo-European people in the 3rd and 4th millennium, which I think is on page 21. Yeah. Paragraph 2, actually. The beginning of the paragraph starts with another path which leads to. So this and the next path discuss how scholarly reconstruction of language and aren't always supported by the archaeological finds. So I wanted to mention on that one, on that comment, that it's really interesting because there is, going back to what we said before, there's so much that there isn't information for, or that contradicts what we think about or what we consider to be previously true. And there's still, like, I'm actually on a Facebook group that posts about, like, new archaeological discoveries, and I swear there's like at least one new one like every month. So anyways, I just wanted to bring that, and also in reference to language as well, because I know a lot of people who try to learn Greek, and specifically ancient Greek. So that's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah. Another fascinating thing to look at with like Indo-European stuff is like, when they talk about this here, is like the reconstruction of the Proto-Indo-European language, and like in and of itself, without the archaeological evidence, like that provides pretty concrete evidence that like supports this theory. So, but I was just gonna say, like, you know, a good book makes you want to read other books, and one such topic that's really fascinating is to look into, if you're into linguistics, is the Proto-Indo-European language, and you can trace a lot of languages back to that, and also a lot of religions back to that. And that includes, I think that's mentioned in like the next section of this book about how that's exactly what it talks about.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And also, fortunately, with scholarly books, there is always a very large reference section. So yay, more reading. Awesome. Thank you. So you also noted on that it was a fascinating thing to research, and a topic you recommend digging into. Well, can you you said specifically Proto-Indo-European?
European language, yeah, as well as religion. Like, because there's some people that actually I have seen online and that actually reconstruct the Proto-Indo-European religion, which I find interesting. Not necessarily compelling, but I think it's a really interesting idea.
Awesome. I'll just add that to the notes. Yeah, it is really interesting, and that's where, honestly, like, it does throw my brain for a loop. If either of you watched last year's attempt at a book club, where I was like, I picked like the worst book because it had all of these really complicated words and words in Greek, and I'm like, and I'm not sure, because I've heard people speak for rituals in Greek, and then I've heard people also be like, oh, this is ancient Greek, and I'm like, oh, it's so confusing to me.
The pronunciation is slightly different, and also it's
yeah,
who's speaking it, because like a lot of people that speak modern Greek will just read ancient Greek as if it's modern Greek, myself included, and then it gets even more confusing because, like, yeah, technically it's not correct, because if you reconstruct the pronunciation, there's certain letters that are pronounced differently, but it's what happens after 2,000 years of the language evolving.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know enough to know the difference, but I know that there is a difference, and that was always like, like, how are you able to do this? Because it does seem really complicated. That's awesome. I'm glad to. Also, I didn't know that you spoke Greek, although I should have figured that out from your name. My bad.
I speak modern Greek, and I speak it okay. I'm semi-fluent, I'll say. I speak enough to get around the country.
Nice. Cool beans. Oh, the next thing I had noted was about the agriculture. It's like literally the last paragraph of page 21. In regards to the agriculture, is this one? No, not the last paragraph. Although on this page it does also mention the fact that the beginning of the period pottery was unknown, as we talked about before. just find it. There we go. Yeah, the end of page 21. The agrarian culture, the earliest in Europe. Just talking about how grains, barley, and wheat were native to Greece, and yet that's one of the things that I see people often offer as sacrifice or offering. So like, I just wanted to ask / discuss like, well, how much significance should we put on these kinds of non-native offerings, and what might be like more traditionally acceptable, and also the fact that like is interesting because also pottery didn't come like came from the east to Greece and was not Greece originated. So how much importance do we put or the utilization on those in practice? I just thought I would open the floor to people's thoughts.
I don't really necessarily think you should put too much emphasis on it, just because times change and what's physically available is so different now. But I think it speaks to the fact that like those like resources were essentially became endemic to Greece, because at this point now like grains, barley, and all that, like the goat and the sheep are like are you know they're all present in Greece at this point. So at this point, it's after thousands of years, they've almost become just endemic to the country.
Yeah. And I was gonna ask. Sorry, I forgot what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask. What is you guys's? I'm a revivalist. And I wanted to ask actually, what is you guys's path, if you have / would like to share?
I'm definitely an eclectic guy. I consider myself, I say, a Hellenic Christo-pagan chaos witch, and this is by a few different
Nice.
philosophies, one of which is Hellenic polytheism.
Awesome.
I have no idea yet.
Okay, that's cool too. Good to get education. Since while you're looking. And the reason I ask that is because Reconstruction is from what I've seen more popular or more prevalent, at least at the very least, more structured organizations involved in Hellenism, and if not, I think within the Hellenic community, Hellenic communities, sorry, that I'm part of. So I was definitely wanted. I'm sad now. I hope a reconstructionist comes along next week, because I definitely wanted their thoughts on that, because to me it also similarly isn't that significant. I mean, I'm more of like a offer what you can kind of person, and I'm more likely to offer like meat or like cookies than like grains or barley or anything like that. Just added because it's easiest to get to, but I think even if you have it available, you don't necessarily have to do it every time, or you can do it all the time. As you said, like Greek might get it, the religion is like changed so much. So when I saw the thing East to West culture drift, I was like, Apollo, and that's it. That was like kind of most of the thought. But it made me think about, what do you guys think? Do you think that the gods were limited to Greece at the time, or do you think like things like East to West cultural drift, was that like an influence that was like, oh, you know what, I saw this stuff while I was, traveling, pulling the sun, I think I'm just gonna make sure to bring it back with me, or encourage them to bring it back for me, these mortals. Just to paint a picture. What do you guys think? Do you think that the ancient gods, or that the Greek gods or deities, have external reach, or had external reach? If that's
I definitely think they do, and I tend to take a softer polytheistic view, in that like I think different cultures are essentially reflecting different could be different versions of the same deity, if you think about concepts. And I think like in a lot of ways, I think that totally makes sense. And if you trace the way that certain gods got to Greece, like definitely some of them were from external places. Like Dionysos is the one who's always thought of as like a foreign god who was foreign and brought to Greece, whereas like Apollo was always thought of as like the Greece was his homeland, Delos, and the island and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It actually references Dionysus like later. And Sir Piglin, you're welcome to jump in anytime. If you have a thought, don't feel pressured to talk, but don't feel pressured to not interrupt us. Interrupt me all day.
Probably just gonna mostly lurk right now.
Okay, that's okay. I know sometimes people get shy about being like interrupting or stuff like that. So, just want to make sure. Let's see. I agree, Mike. If you have anything, comments on things that like, if I don't let me pass it by, is what I'm saying.
Don't, because if you notice, I don't think there's an issue of me talking. It's more of an issue of me talking too much. That's what I try to go back.
No, I talk so much. Okay, so I'm going on to the next page. First full paragraph. So it's actually like it starts at as a whole the Greek. And so the Neolithic seems to span some 3,000 years without any radical breaks and without any far-reaching differentiation throughout this entire period. Evidence for religion is sparse, and as the period progresses, it becomes, if anything, more so. I just wanted to see, like, do you guys think that this might be that because during that time maybe other religions are less prominent, or that other religions are less prominent, that they're due to religion being less prominent, or that there are less religions in the world at that time overall due to lack of maybe ease of sharing beliefs, or that it's just less easy at that time to record these things because obviously we just talked about the lack of record sometimes. So, or D, all of the above. So, or any combination.
I definitely think a lot of it's record keeping, but I also think that the religion probably appeared very differently than we would think of it today. So like,
ooh, true.
Religion at that time like wasn't confined to temples and stuff like that. Like you obviously have in like the classic period where there's mountains of evidence. So what we have are the figurines and stuff like that. But religion could have been very important to people, especially if you think about very important themes like motherhood and fertility and stuff like that to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I'm very much of I think it's the record keeping issue, because it seems like obviously as we get closer, even a little bit to today, like once record keeping gets around, like it kind of exploded through the world, which is pretty cool if you think about it. Yeah, and as you mentioned, the statues on page, I guess I didn't copy. I guess on page 23, I'm just jumping to the next page. It had to. They noted that phallic statues could like protect from evil, but it didn't say evil. It was a word that meant evil. Hold on. It's right before the last paragraph. It says the ichthyophallic male statuettes and simple phalloi may signify fertility, but they might also serve for the aptrophiac protecting from evil of the territory. So I just kind of had a chuckle at that thought. I'm like, oh, so we can use male and phallic statues as protection from evil. I was like, did not know. But I've also never heard of that before either. So I was very interested by that. And then there it says there it was customary. On the next page, first full paragraph, the second sentence, the paragraph starts with the inertial force, and if we go to the second sentence, it says the customary sacrificial animals of Greeks are sheep and the ox, the goat and pig, whereas the ass and the horse are commonly excluded. And then I think previously also it said that that some of these animals weren't even here before, like they weren't even within Greece, and that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. So because in like plays and stuff, they're always saying like the ox or the sheep greased for the sacrifice and stuff like that, and that's what the sacrifice is, and it just evolved over time because those animals just weren't there before, and it's just really interesting, kind of just calling back to what we were talking about earlier. And then let me find the next thing I wrote down. These are just like the things that I found interesting and took notes on.
Yeah, definitely agree. I have a fun anecdote going back to the last topic. So they still actually do sell phalluses for similar purposes today in Greece.
Really?
At,
yes.
Penis bottle openers and stuff, and like this is a souvenir.
That's awesome. And yeah, that's really cool. So I'm Armenian, and we have the evil eye, which is also common for Turkish and Greek. It's all over, and I've like horseshoes are more to bring luck. Let's see what else do I have at my front door? Shoot. I have a couple of things on my front door. I have probably like 4 or 5 different things to specifically protect against like evil and bad juju and whatever, and just bad intentions, and basically leave it outside of my house. But I had never heard of that, it was just really funny and interesting to me, because I was like, oh, I'd never heard of this. I might need to buy some statues. Just reinforce that door more. Cool. And thanks for that. The next thing that I had written down was on page 24. It's the first full paragraph. Is right after where we were talking about. It's like 2 sentences down. At Achillion, whatever. In Thessaly, a small clay mask was found that hung on a pillar-like stand, and the similarity to the column bedecked with the Dionysus mask as it appears on the Greek vase paintings is inescapable, and yet the Neolithic model is dated as early as 1600. I assume that's BCE. So yeah, that's what we're talking about with, Dionysus, that oops, we found him someplace else. So that means he could date back as to early 600 BCE. That's kind of dope.
Yeah, it's cool, and even since it's earlier than Catalhuyuk, which is like considered a very early religious center, which is, I think, really interesting to think that Dionysus is something a character goes back that far as a god.
Yeah, and it's really interesting also because in the Bacchae? Didn't they mention that he came from like afar or something too? Like I remember it was like a thing that the guy did not believe that he was a god.
Yeah, he convinced India, I believe, like how to make wine and worship him as a result, because he was trying to like, it was literally, I think, something about him like conquering India.
Yeah, exactly. I just remember it because I was we're already getting ready to do for doing the Bacchae for Dionysia. So yeah. I looked at it recently. By the way, here's a good plug. We need volunteers to play characters for the Bacchae for Dionysia in like 2 months. In Minecraft. Although you don't have to be in Minecraft to do it, but it would be cool.
Once I set up my Minecraft, I'll be down for that.
Yes. We're Java. Actually, we have Java, and you can access through Bedrock now. So there's instructions on that in the gaming channel. Yeah, and let's see. I have one of the holidays. The Thesmorphia is mentioned on page 24 in regards to it's a Stone Age festival. So like that's pretty. It is the second paragraph from the bottom. Of Greek are festivals. I can't. I said it before. Whatever. The Thesmorphia gives an impression of extraordinary antiquity. And it was saying an impressive clay pig figure once dating from the early Neolithic has been uncovered in, oh my gosh, Niamakri near Marathon. The clay pig studded with grains of corn. So it was just interesting to me that the pig was the animal, and also the thing that they it was one of the sacrifices where there was like a special thing for the festival. And they had votive pigs as well, found associated with Demeter, which I didn't actually know was associated with Demeter at all. Like, I would have never guessed that. And let's see. And then through the reading of like the page 25 and on, that there were like clear and repeating evidence of sacrifices and fire, like, and offering pits. And it's really interesting to me that I still use fire in my practice to do offering. So I don't know if you guys do.
I do, especially I usually light incense, but if I do burn stuff, I will use fire.
I want to see you burn it with water.
Yeah, I realized afterwards I was kind of some way to phrase it, but
no, I totally. If you give the sacrifice to burn it, yeah, I totally got you. I just had to.
Yeah.
It was too easy. You left it there for me.
If it's not a libation, which is impossible to burn, I have to burn it somehow.
I mean, well, vodka. Have you tried vodka?
That is true.
I actually have a bottle of vodka that actually, like, I don't really drink. It's just for ritual, because someone gave me a bottle of vodka, and I'm like, well, here you go, guys.
I have offered liquor before. It works in a pinch, especially if I don't have wine. I usually do wine, but if I don't have wine, it's like, oh, I'll just use whatever liquor I have.
Yeah, totally. Let's see.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to use fire in my practice yet, but I'm going to get a taper candle soon.
Ooh, nice. I actually found like this, like those incense burny things that are made of metal that churches have sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have one of those, but like tiny, like maybe like smaller than a dollar bill folded in half, tiny. So, like, it's like, you can't even fit a cookie in it.
Oh, it's a little.
It's so tiny. Yeah, it's really little. It's very little. And I'm not saying that there aren't scorch marks on my walls, but I've gotten better about it. Because I just have that one on my altar. I now have it on a separate, platform of its own. And, yes. And a little bit further out, so it's a little away from the wall, because I may have been overzealous with the alcohol a couple times. But it's really good because it makes a small fire, and I live in an apartment, so it's not that bad. And if it spills, it's not that big of a deal. Or if it there's very few ways for that fire to get out of control, which I know is one of the big things for people who use fire, that inside is not great.
Yeah, it's the entire reason that I've hesitated to get a candle.
If it helps you, I have accidentally smoked myself via uncontrolled fire related things more than, I was gonna say once, but it's really like more than like 4 times. And none of them had to do with my offering. at, like, ever. I've never had an offering fire. There's one of the...
I can only congratulate you
I know, right?
at that point.
I think I told 2 stories of that on one of the streams, like, of the various fires that I've been involved in.
I've unfortunately been also involved in a lot of dumb little fires, never for offerings, but like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I smoke and I have long hair, so like I've lit my hair on fire like dozens of times in my life.
This is not reassuring.
It's okay. My boyfriend's a stoner. You see what happened there? Oh, I'm sorry. My boyfriend's a stoner, and he said the same thing. He's lit on his hair on fire a few times. And I'm
It happens. It just happens.
Oh my gosh, it does. I have not lit my hair on fire. I do have long hair, so.
My sister was playing with a stick at the campfire once, and it flung out of her hand and lit her hair on fire right by her ear.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's when we banned playing with the fire with sticks.
Fortunately, hair is not one of those things that, like, just goes up in flame. It just singes a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She needed a haircut.
You make sure you have a fire extinguisher or whatever the hell you're gonna do. Use to shut off the fire. Everyone on stream, anyone who listens to this afterwards, we promote fire safety here, even though we're not good at it.
I've lit myself on fire. Promote fire safety. Don't do what I did.
I have a friend of mine in Australia who told me a story of one time that they were sitting. I don't know how this happened. I don't remember. All I remember is that, like, he told me that he was hanging out with a friend of his, and they didn't realize it because they were both smokers. That the couch caught on fire?
Oh no.
Oh no.
Like,
I've only seen that happen
legitimately on
once.
fire. Like, no. Like,
I've only seen that happen once, and it was because of a hookah coal, which is like, this, or like an incense coal, like basically whatever, like it was
Yeah.
one of those coals that like did it, and
yes.
yeah, needless to say, we didn't allow hookah smoking in the house after a certain point in time, or at least not like in bedrooms.
I would not doubt that would have been because he does smoke hookah. But I don't know. I was just like, how do you not see a couch catching on fire?
Wouldn't you at least smell it?
Yeah, you would
Burning
think.
fabric smells really bad.
Maybe, but if you're smoking something like hookah, that does stink. So
I suppose.
yeah, but so yes, fire safety. The only other thing I had after that, because it was only 7 pages, was sorry, was that although the many broken lines, I didn't write the page of this actually. It might be the last paragraph. I feel like it was. Yeah, the very end of the last paragraph on page 27 that we read was, although the many broken lines of tradition and innumerable catastrophes of early times cannot be lightly overlooked, forces of continuity have always reasserted themselves, and probably nowhere as much as in the sphere of religion. So, like, I mean, obviously we're here being all Hellenists and talking about things, so it endured. That was it. You guys have anything else interesting or that they thought was like interesting about the reading?
I think you definitely covered it. Trying to think if there was anything else that you might have missed.
Or that you want to like talk about in regards to these things and Hellenism and stuff. Cool beans. Means they did a good job. Do you guys feel like was that a good amount of pages? I don't know if you even got to read it, Sir Piglin.
I did. I
Okay.
read it.
Cool. Was that a good amount of pages? Because it's a little dense. So. Or do you guys want to do more or less?
I read a little bit ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little ahead too, but I think it was a good amount of pages, maybe a little more.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking maybe a little more. So I have
maybe like 10 next time or something.
I have it actually. I actually have it planned out for like the next month. So hold on a second. Let me see. So we have the. Actually, also let me put the stream. What's being shown on stream up to the table of contents. Oops. So after that, there's the Indo-European section, the section for Indo-European, and then the Minoan Mycenaean religion. The Indo-European is pages 27 to 33. So it's 7 pages? Yeah. I don't know. I can't do math. And then the next section is like 33 to 40. So
Isn't that 16?
I have no idea. Hold on.
Because you gotta add 3 to get to 30.
I'm gonna do it the other way. 40 minus 27.
Hold on. Let me do some elementary school math.
I'm so bad at math.
We're all
you guys.
struggling.
So that's to me. That's like what 13 pages. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Bless you. You know what's funny? I teach not math, but a math related topic. And every time I teach financial education, and so like every time people are like, "You teach math," and I'm like, "I don't teach math. I teach financial education. It's different." So I can be as bad as math as I want. So that's 13 pages. Do you want to just do both those sections for next week?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just and 340. And I'll just delete this on my. Okay, so when I make the event, it'll say the pages. And then I will make a document for like notes and stuff, and or if you guys want, you can just post it in the chat, and I'll just copy it out just so there's a written, just in case anyone wants to catch up later or something. So cool. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I'm glad we could do this. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
See you next week. Bye.